Media Initiative? You guys have not heard about the African Media Initiative?
Yeah.
You should have, okay. You guys have not heard about the African Media Initiative?
Yeah.
You should have, okay. I represent them, though I'm no longer, I'm just a board member right now. I used to be the Chief Executive Officer of AMI. And prior to that, I was head of communications for the World Bank, for Africa at the World Bank, for many years. And then, I guess, for most of the last 3 years, I've done different things, which I don't know to get into later. So, having said that, why don't I let's go around the table, and then Marcus will be the last one to present himself, and then we'll take it from there. I'll take it over. So why don't we start from one end of the table, maybe from him, Lamin, the first man and the first son and the first boy child of the family. Is that it?
Really, yes.
Okay, so why don't we start with you and just go around quickly and just tell us who you are and what news organization you represent.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Lamin Jahada is my name. I work for the Gambian Press Union. So I'm here representing the Gambian Press Union.
Is everybody a member of that union?
I am an audience.
Okay. All right.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ismail Sombo, representing JJ Radio. Good morning. I am Jay Basketa, reporting for Korea newspaper.
Good morning. I am Agatha from Daily News.
Sorry?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Khadija Pitao. I work for the Gambian Press.
Good morning. My name is Mohamed Lamin Jente. I work for an African News Agency, Gambian Press, based in Dakar. It's a continental wide service with producing news and future stories.
Good morning, everyone. I am Mohamed Lamin Choi, and I am a reporter for QTV.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ahmad Faye. I'm a student of the media.
It's not obvious when you pronounce it, you know.
Huh?
The only names I get easily are the female names and then the Lamins in the room. so you said it so quickly I couldn't even retain it.
Okay, my name is Ahmad Faye.
Amadou.
Omar.
Omar,
Yes.
Omar, I remember now. Yes.
Yes, I'm a student of the Media Academy for Journalism. I'm also representing Choice.
Good morning. My name is Seti Janfara. This is Gambian Talents Promotion.
Can you read that sentence again?
Gambian Talents Promotion.
No, the sentence before that.
My name is Seti Janfara. Share.
Seti Jan. Okay. 5. S-E-R.
S-H-E-I-K-H. S-H.
Okay. And teacher.
My name is Adam Joe, reporting for the Chronicle.
Okay.
My name is Saina Ujain, working for JAPS TV as a reporter and assistant producer.
Okay.
Yeah, I am Mohammed Ba, assistant editor for a newspaper and a journalist.
Good morning. My name is Fatou Bicha. I work with the Point newspaper. Good morning. My name is Kumbali. I work with the Gambia Daily newspaper.
Sorry,
Kumbali.
Kumba.
Yes.
Good morning.
For leaving a career that took me to World Bank for many, many years. And I used to come here when I was, but I guess none of you was a journalist at the time, when I used to come here for some training programs. Who's the longest serving journalist in the room? Would you know?
Which year are you talking about?
In the early 90s.
Early 90s. Well, I joined the field in 94. I became a journalist from 94.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably when I came here actually in 94. 95. You must have been too young to be sent to any of the don't think I did. Anyway,
but I saw you in Dakar several times.
yes, yes, Dakar. Actually, most of the programs took place in Dakar. Right. So today we're going to be, we want to zero in on migration and the role of media in migration. Is there any? I'd love to hear from you. Why do you think we're putting this emphasis on migration? I just want anybody, just throw out any thoughts you have. Anybody, why this emphasis on migration? And health, or we could be talking about media and Banjul. We decided we're talking, yes, please, just any thoughts.
It's a perilous journey which is killing a lot of young people, especially Africans.
Yes. Excellent. I like that. Any other thoughts? Yes.
I believe it has an effect on our lives. That's why we need to be more about issues.
Yes. Okay. Good. Let me.
All right, we're talking about it because it's a global trend. Migration is a global trend.
Please.
It has become a problem for not only the sending countries but also the receiving countries.
Yes.
Yeah, because Germans are also deporting migrants from their country.
Okay. Oh, what was the word you said?
Deportation.
Oh, okay. Deporting.
It has become a burning issue globally recently because of the migration crisis that happened in the Middle East and then Africa and in the far African countries. That's why it becomes an issue that needs to be disclosed globally and find a solution about it.
Yeah.
It is affecting social cohesion.
Social cohesion in Africa. Ladies speak.
Well,
yes.
Basically, like the people that are for the young ones and the women. So
Okay. Excellent. I think it's amazing how you've all just nothing you said is off the mark. Everything you said is exactly why this focus. The only thing I didn't hear, which I kind of wished I would hear, in country and across this continent, as far as Africa is concerned, tell the full story. Help them. And be a part of it. So that at least the lives of those lost in the Mediterranean would have at least led us to some place. The African Union has kind of picked up the issue of migration. But it still remains an inconvenient topic for Africans, especially African leadership. It still remains an inconvenient topic. So why do we bring in the media? Quite simply, to make this a topic of discussion. That is why we combine media and migration. Because media doesn't step into it, but step into this. Media does not step into this and come in knowledgeable. We've not made a difference. You get my point? If media does not take up the issue of migration, knowledgeable. If you talk about it like the man on the streets, it will not add value. I want you guys to get it. Let's discuss migration in a way that adds value. Otherwise, there's no point. So, as I said, it could be media and health, or media and poverty, or media and agriculture. But here we're talking about media and migration. And the reason we're putting the two together is so that media can become fully conscious, not talk about it as the man on the streets, not give us statistics of people dying. That's good enough. But we need to put it in perspective. We need to help audiences understand what the crisis of migration is, and the crisis of migration from an African perspective. In this, we're going to, yes, no, it's very good actually, you know, keep your pace. So we're going to, watch this, and I'd like to get your take on it. It's a video, it's a small mini documentary.
Oh, that's a song.
It's a song actually, but it's a mini documentary in the sense that it captures the various aspects of this crisis. So let's listen to it, and as you're listening, think about what stands out, what hits you. We'll get to the other side. As I said, there are two sides of a coin. This is one. We'll flip it and look at the other side. But from the perspective, from that holistic perspective, tell me what you get out of this mini documentary, which is, as Mark says rightly, it's a song. But it's a song that tells a story. And that's the documentary aspect of it. If the technology lets us, we will. I'll just pause long enough for us to see this. Ghanaian guy and how he tries to migrate or emigrate, and problems that he encounters and has to come back home. So he kind of tells the full story and looks at it from both perspectives. So whenever they're ready, we'll just we'll talk about it. But now let me zero in first of all on the first side of the migration crisis. As I said, there are two sides, right? There's a flip side. Let's focus on the first side, on the actual movements. And so most of you do know folks who've migrated from here. Does anybody know someone who's migrated from here? Yeah. Can you just give us a sense of, if you know one, if you actually know somebody, can you just tell me, or the rest of us, the lead up to this young person, do you know of any woman, any female? Do you know of any, does anybody know any female migrant?
Yeah.
Can you tell us, just give us a sense of their story, just in the lead up to when they decide to leave. What happened?
The girl she was a neighbor, and
she was your neighbor?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like a tomboy that, like, some guys say always move with boys, all my colleagues, the boys that see all migrated to Italy, and they also decided to go.
Right, but then, I mean, you didn't decide to go, she decided to go.
Yeah,
what led her into making that decision? I'm just curious about that.
I would say her friends influenced her, because her friends were all migrated, because all the friends that she used to go out with, boys, they
were all migrated?
Yeah.
Why were they migrated?
A lot of them were footballers, and in my community, football is not that developed, so they decided to come back.
Oh, so she was in a group of players,
yeah,
and they were migrating because they hoped to
at least become a professional players.
Become professional players. And what was she going to do?
I don't know, but I had an idea of what she was going to do. Did
So,
she make it? Yes, she made it. She is now in UK.
Where is she now?
She's now in the United Kingdom.
In the United Kingdom?
Yeah.
Is any of them playing football?
Some of the boys are playing football. 3 of them are playing football in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he moved to the United Kingdom now.
Huh. Okay. Is there another exciting story like this one?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Seti Yang, as I said, from the Gambian Commission. Myself, I'm a migrant. I've been to Libya, I've been to Tunisia, I've been to Morocco, and I've been to Nigeria. I was brought here by the island.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm a migrant myself.
Yeah.
I traveled to Libya,
tell us your story. This is important. Tell us about.
That's why I want to share that with you.
Yeah. Tell us about the day you decided, or not the day you actually moved.
Yeah.
In the lead up to that, the months leading up to that, and you must have been. How long were you thinking about it, and what actually got you there?
Well, I did not think about it for a long time.
Okay.
It was just probably 1 month. As a young man, I always think about doing something. Then I decided to go and study journalism from Eastside Training Center.
Where?
Eastside Training Center.
Oh, in Gambia,
yes. In Gambia, yeah. When I studied the certificate, I finished my certificate. I started diploma and I finished it. So at that time, during the Jamia regime, because of the conditions of the media practitioners in this country, so my family and my mom did not allow me. And they were always trying to harass me or try to stop me from practicing journalism. So then that's how I decided to travel to Mauritania. So from Mauritania, then I decided to go to Libya. So along the way also, most of the questions that you ask here, I do ask most of my colleagues along the way in Algeria and Libya. But most of the time, the reason most of the people that travel is because they don't have a job or they don't have anything that they believe can help them in this country. So that's why most of them travel. Okay, well, another thing is that many people believe that Europe is like, there's everything in Europe. Once they are in Europe, everything will be okay for them. Because along the way, many of us do have opportunities along the way, like in Algeria, most of us do have opportunities, like you working, you have working conditions, and you will pay good salary. But they will decide to leave it and travel to Libya. So I do communicate to some of them as well. They tell me that if I know, I would have stayed in Algeria and continue my work. So that tells you that person traveled to Europe or whatever, just to earn a living or a better life.
Okay. So you left for purely professional reasons. You could not, as a journalist, practice here.
Yeah.
But most of the others left because they didn't have jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other story that you guys know about? Need one more. Yes, one more.
I have a colleague who was in the same school with me in high school. We were in the same class. We moved together. After finishing our high school, I later realized he decided to venture into the Barclay.
I'm sorry?
After finishing our high school,
yeah,
I later realized he ventured into the Barclay. But before he was doing a business here, this exchange with money stuff like. But what happened was, I later found out that he died on the way.
He died trying to?
Yes, trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea. So that's how his story ended. And we are very close together. We work together. We do things together. But that's how his story ended.
Did he tell you prior to leaving? And did he tell you at any point earlier about his frustrations with the country?
We never discussed him telling me that he wanted to travel using the back way. All I knew was he was walking, and later suddenly I just realized he took the back way and decided to go.
He left without telling you?
No.
Okay. I'm trying. Okay. Is there anybody, someone told you? Does any of you know anyone who might have told you, I want to emigrate? And did you try to dissuade or encourage them? I just want to hear that. Yes.
Yeah. Like actually, my cousin that I live with at home. This was years ago, but he used to say, I want to go to the back bay, because I'm from London. So he'll be like, I want to go to where you are and live and be like you guys. So I'll tell him that, what you think is out there is not out there. You literally have to start from the grassroots. If you don't have papers, you can't make it. So that's what happens to the migrants when they go, because they have to stay in camps or they give them tickets, and then you have to either use that to buy food and then or sell it and do something else. So I try to dissuade him and tell him that it's not what you think. And what you're seeing on the internet and what people are telling you, it's not that. I live there, I was born there. I'm telling you, it's not that. So he thought I was being jealous, or I was being, trying to hold him from coming to see what I have when I don't even have anything. But he believes that I have something because I'm in Europe. But I'm telling him that when you go there, even me being born there, for me to get a job is hard. So imagine you don't have papers. You're illegal. That's going to be worse. But he still thinks I'm being jealous. But I'm still trying to advise him, but still nothing. But luckily he didn't go. But he still talks about it. Like he still will talk about it and be like, oh, I just want to go and I want to be there and hustle and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, you're not going to get very far. But they think you're being jealous by telling them not to go.
So he's still here?
He's still here, but he talks about it every now and then. He's like, oh, well, my friend went and they need it, or now he has a car, or he sent money to his parents. I'm like, okay, he did that, but that could probably be drug money. So if you want to go and do that and then be, like, have the risk of being arrested and being deported and that's it, you can never travel again, go for it. But I'm telling you as a sister, don't go. It's not worth it. You can make it here. Yeah.
Now, how does media in this country present the problem? Your cousin had access to you and you could dissuade him and talk to him about going or not going and why.
Yeah.
What does the child on the streets of Banjul who listens to radio or to television or possibly reads the papers, what's the story that comes across to them about thoughts of migrating from the country? Would you know that? I mean, is it a total blackout, or do you guys even talk about these issues? Do you talk about, what do you say? How do you handle it? I just want to know where, on the basis on which we are. How do you handle it? In any of you, has anybody reported on migration? Any one of you? And what have you reported? How have you handled it? Please, yeah. Oh, I thought you had your hand up. It's your hair. All right. Yes.
I reported migration like a couple of stories, but the only time that I do it is like when they have been deported either from the US, and other European countries, or when they are being returned back to Gambia by the IOM. So that's the only time that I do report on migration.
Interesting. Okay. Were you doing it? Yes.
Yes. For me, actually, I did 2-3 pieces on it as news items. I attended a program where the issue came up. But then 6 months ago, I came across a young Gambian man who was also a migrant in Italy. And we did some sort of interview. It was incomplete. I'm still working on the story. And his story was very interesting because he went through the back way, and finally he established himself in Italy and enrolled in his university. He's now making a research on migration and writing out his thesis. So he told me a lot of interesting things, which I found very interesting in the politics of migration in Italy, in Europe, and we tried to relate it to the human rights violation. Some are not documented, and, there's a lot of politics going on there. Some states or some countries is for African migrants. So he's making a research on that, and he narrated his own story, how he started right from Gambia here, going towards I think Libya, Morocco, then down to Italy. Yeah, but as I said, it's incomplete. I'm still working on it.
Okay. Any other?
Yeah,
please,
I also did once when the president said climate change is a factor to irregular migration. So
who said the president?
Yes.
The current president,
Yes.
Barrow.
Yes, when he was giving this kind of speech at the General Assembly, he said climate change is a factor to irregular migration.
That climate change is...
It's one of the in the Gambia.
Right.
That's why they're taking
Right.
they're migrating to other countries.
Right.
Other continents. So I spoke to a few people.
Mhm.
The one guy was himself, he returned back home from Libya. So when I spoke to him, he said, what the president said might not be.
In Libya, we've heard, I mean, all the terms that you've used here, professional issues that forced you to leave. So all of that is happening. But you've not, what I have not heard is the holistic story. Is what does the man on the streets, what does he not know about the theme of migration? What does he not know? And what I want us to do then is to take an approach that allows the man on the streets, one, how do we make the story worth his listening? How do we make the migration story worth telling? Because if you go back to, which is probably why most of you may not have done a migration story, because in the migration story, and I wish we had could have projected some notes. I'm thinking about it now. If we understood that story well, it touches on virtually every aspect of our lives. And it's very interesting that you mentioned climate change. You can just take migration from that perspective and look at how climate change may be contributing to the changing circumstances of life in this country. My point here is, from the migration story, you can tell the entire story of the Gambian. You can talk about leadership. You can talk about freedoms, basic freedoms. The reason he left was because during the Yaya Jami time, apparently as a journalist, you could not perform. I don't know whether that has changed. Has it changed, in your view?
Yeah, it has changed.
You feel a greater freedom now in doing what you can do, right?
Yeah.
Is that true?
To a certain extent, because since the other left up to date, you have at least 9,000 kilometers. So definitely it's something that is worrying.
What happened to the
Yeah, I remember one of the evacuations was attacked by when he was covering the athletic guy. And of recent, one of our people, one of our journalists, was also demised when he was covering the presidential tour, meeting people tour.
And that's recent?
Yeah, that's less than a week.
So you're beginning to, what are you, there's a sense of, you're coming back to the old situation, is that what you're saying?
Sure.
So it's becoming increasingly difficult. Are you afraid some journalists from this room might be migrating before long? Hopefully not. You've not gotten to that point.
But the attacks are still continuing. What he's saying, gradually,
I'm sorry?
I think what he's trying to say is that attacks against governments is
beginning to.
Yeah, like you have some talks of political, what can I say, supporters have also take the law into their own hands and attack journalists. And then also the media laws, they try coming, media laws are still hanging on top of that. Already promised that they will get rid of it. So,
and they haven't yet.
They haven't yet.
Yeah.
It's just a promise.
Yeah.
Well, what haven't been seen in this present government is journalists getting picked up for doing a story.
You've not done. They're not doing that.
That hasn't happened. So that is a major achievement.
You're right. Right. And my point is, if you took any single that you're dealing with in the country, right? So the fact is, if you look at that migration story, if you handle it well as journalists, you'll be shedding a lot of light on some critical aspects of life in the country as it is. And that is that flip side that I'm talking about. So it's important as you think about the story to go back. You can take and you can come at it from any aspect. You can come at it from the aspect of women, for example. If you look at it from the perspective of agriculture and food security, could that be a reason? Do people have, citizens of this country, are they adequately fed? Is that a problem at all? Maybe not.
No.
Everybody is well fed?
No.
Not well fed.
Actually not.
Yeah. And that's my point. If it's about food, if food security is an issue, or climate is an issue, what then you need to do is to question yourselves, what is being done about those issues? Because any one of them could lead to the decision to migrate. And that's the point of it. So we can go down the room and have each of you say, this is what I am most interested in. This is the kind of reporting I do on a daily basis. And in that, you can find that one topic that you can use to tell the migration story. In other words, if anybody listened to all of you in, say, 3 months, making the connection between what you are interested in your newspapers, on your radio or television. Because if you all came at it from those different perspectives, a lot of people in the country will have a better understanding of what migration is all about. What is it that drives people to migrate? What is it that's not happening that ought to be happening? And from there, you can start going into policy, government's policy, development policy. Because ultimately, if as journalists, you can push the agenda on policy, if you can draw from, I get a little frustrated. No, I don't know if there's anything here that can help me tell.
Actually, you need something to write a flip.
Yeah, maybe a flip. Yes, a flip would be even better, yeah. You know, if you could draw from any of your perspectives, what you're most interested in, religion, media and press freedoms, agriculture and food security, health. Is that a challenge here? So you can go from there to, if this is the challenge, if this is what might force somebody to want to leave the country, employment, jobs, why do they not have, what is being done to provide jobs? You can go from the problem, the migrant, and down back to policy. What is government not doing? Or what should government be doing? What is society not doing? What should society be doing? These are the connections. And I can tell you, your value as a journalist is in making those connections. Your value as a journalist is making those connections. And those connections will allow you to shed light on a problem. You may think it's, I'm alone, I'm the only one talking about this, it will change nothing. To think that way is not to understand the power of the media. To think that way is not to understand the power each of you in this room has. I know I was editor-in-chief before leaving my country, Cameroon. I'm from Cameroon, by the way. I should have said that. I was editor-in-chief for as I told you, I started television in Cameroon, running for 6 years. So everybody in my room, and I had about 75 people in my newsroom. I knew what their interests were. And I did, as the head of the team, try to orientate people towards their areas of interest. give you one story to show you what can change if you embrace the one area you're interested in. I was mostly a development-oriented type, you know. I saw in every story how it could impact the development of my country. And that's probably why I ended up in the World Bank, because they're a development organization. And by the way, I also worked for the African Development Bank. For 4 years, I was Director of Communication, the African Development Bank. But for nearly 20, I was head of World Bank Communications in Africa. Again, something that I got to through my interest in development and the media. So this is real. One of the people, and this is the reason I say this, one of the people, and I have thousands of these examples in many African countries. Now, one of those who worked with me when I was editor-in-chief of Gambian Television was a young guy called Sammy. Sammy was literally imposed on me. Television was new, and everybody who was on it became well known in their little corner of the country. And a senior parliamentarian, vice president or vice speaker of parliament, came to me one day and said, "There's nobody from my area on television. Why are you doing this to me? When I go home, everybody's telling me that, you know, you're vice president on this. None of our children on that TV." I said, "But we can't have the entire nation on television." But, make a long story short, he brought me this young man called Sammy. Asked Sammy, "What can you do?" The story Sammy had told his parents and his entire village that he had gone to the United States and studied journalism was not true. He had actually gone from his country to Nigeria. I don't know if he made it to the States ultimately, but probably did. So his uncle felt this is a guy who's been to America and has studied. But when Sammy came to me, he had to tell me the truth, because I told him, "Look, I want to orientate you. What have you studied?" He had to confess that he hasn't done it. He couldn't even write in English, in good English, he couldn't. It's very, you know. So I knew there was something very wrong. So the weeks go by, and his uncle does not see Sammy on TV. Sorry. His uncle does not see his son on television. Weeks go by, they go into months. So by the middle of the second month, he's very concerned. And all along I'm trying to see, what in the world can I use this young man for? Couldn't find it. In the end, I called him one day to my office. I said, "Look, you've got to do something. Your uncle is on my neck and blah, blah, blah. So this is what I think you should do. You should report on health." Because at the time, I was trying to get people to report on various aspects of life in the country. So I got people to report on the economy, I got people to report on agriculture, on infrastructure, I got sports, you know, and so on. I got people to just focus on the marketplace and the market woman, because that's a phenomenon, you know, women who go and buy and sell. So I told Sammy, "You're going to do health." And he almost dropped dead. He said, "What am I going to do? You know, I didn't even know where to begin." So I said, "Look, I want to catch two birds with one stone. One, I want you to report on health because I want to know what's happening in that sector. And I also want you, at the end of your story, to do a stand-up in front of a hospital. This is Sammy Obia reporting for CRTV from Dr. Give him a standard phrase. Your uncle sees it, your village is happy, and then I have a health story. Now, because you can't write and you can't do anything, what I want you to do, I'll give you questions every morning and you'll go ask the director of the central hospital, to tell you about people who are sick, how many he receives, medication, blah, blah. Does he have enough doctors? So we can put the spotlight on the central hospital, put the spotlight on the pharmaceutical industry. So every day he'll come to my office and we'll work out the questions. And then he'll go, bring the answers, and then we'll edit that into 90 seconds, 1 minute, 30 seconds of a nice little story about health. And we did this for a while. And then I left Cameroon. I left Cameroon and went. So by the time I left, Sammy now had started, he got to a point where he didn't even need me to give him questions. He did his own homework now. He asked colleagues, tell me what do you think I should do in health? So I leave Cameroon and I didn't go back to CRTV, which is Cameroon Radio and Television, for maybe a couple of years. Then I finally come to visit one day, and I'm standing outside. All of these young people who are joined, and those who were the old ones who were there, they were all standing around me. It must have been about 30 or 40 of us standing in front of the television house. When we heard a young woman scream, we had this horrendous scream from someone who had just come driven into the TV yard. And all of us, all 30, 40 of us turned around and we saw this lady who had just caught her finger in the door of a car. That's why she screamed. And what happened next was what amazing, is what I'm telling you about. Everybody almost, where's the doctor? Where's the doctor? Call the doctor. They were all screaming all over the place. Where's the doctor? Call the doctor. And I'm standing there and wondering, oh, Cameroon Television now has an in-house doctor? That's what I was thinking. Because they were all crazy, going, where's the doctor? Where's the doctor? And then as they were talking, I saw, doctors have a medical bag, you know that, right? Well, they used to, I don't know whether they still have it. And I saw somebody coming out of the medical bag, walking towards us, and you know who it was, right? Well, Sammy! Sammy had become the doctor. And as soon as he got there, this woman was still crying and screaming. Sammy just came, went into his bag, picked out something, and gave that woman, just did this. And you could see the relief. Blood spurted out, and then he, got a few things wrapped up. And that was the end of that story. If you've ever caught your finger in a door of a car, and it's happened to me, the first thing you should do is bring out the blood. And instant relief. That's what he did. And gave her some medication, healed it. End of story. I was standing there looking at this man and wondering, is this the guy who could not even spell health? He's now the doctor of the house. Tells you what journalism can mean and why it's important to have a purpose. If you're sitting here in this room, just acting like a robot, you wake up in the morning, you go, they tell you go do this, you come, you do. If you don't have a purpose in journalism, you'll end up just purposeless. Take a theme, take a subject, take an area. It could be migration, it doesn't have to be. But even in your area of emphasis, this migration story will expose things to you that you will never imagine. And that's my point about media and development. You should look at the flip side. Why are young people leaving? And it will tell you a lot of stories. And from any angle, wherever you come, from whatever angle you come from, it should lead you to really examine the sector of your country's development, any one sector, and ask yourselves, do we have the right policies for that sector? And you're not doing it just to criticize government. No, it should not be about that. But it should help you dig deeper if you take health, it's not just a matter of criticizing the government for not having the right infrastructure. No, there are difficulties. It's a developing country. That's why it is a developing country. There are issues, there are difficulties. But there's no problem, human problem, without a human solution. So go at your subject with that in mind, that you can, you know, if it's about quality of education, there are people you should talk to. You should be talking to young kids in school. Are they at the level of their education where they should be? And if not, what is happening? Do they have the right books? And if not, what is happening? Because it is all of these things that ultimately lead to that child not doing what they should be doing. It is the absence of certain things. It is policy. And you have to inform yourselves to be able to inform. You have to. So if you take, that's why I say you have to have a purpose. You have to find an area where you become almost an expert in what you do. And from there, you start asking the right questions. You start going, you know, reaching out. I know it's difficult sometimes because our media houses tend to be small, underpaid, people are underpaid, and so on. But that's no reason for not doing what you as an individual, there's no reason for not doing what you as an individual journalist should have as your purpose. Every one of you should have a purpose. And that purpose should be to bring change to your country. Because if you don't do that as a journalist, to bring change to your developing country. And the only way you can do is by zeroing in on that sector, understanding it, explaining it, and hopefully through that you contribute to making a healthier society. Ultimately, it doesn't have to happen immediately. It doesn't have to happen immediately. I'll tell you another story very quickly, and then I know I have to hand over to Marcus. You know, I used to leave my house every morning and drive to work. And I lived not far from television house in